welcome to Harris Football. I'm Dave Hewitt, and I'm joined by Christopher Harris. How's it going, Chris?
It's going. Your enthusiasm for must-draft wide receivers, frankly, contagious.
Excellent. It's just my excitement to get to talk to you about this, about anything, but let's talk today about the must-draft wide receivers.
Yeah. I mean, must-draft again. If people want to check the must-draft running back video that we did, must-draft is in the eye of the beholder. We're really not saying that you have to come away with these guys, but we're saying it's a combination of players that I've kind of got surprised by on film and decided I kind of liked more than I expected I would. Guys who are maybe going a little later in drafts than we might expect because I kind of am now dipping my toe in the water of ADP. And then also just dudes who I like a lot and just think there's one dude in particular I just like a lot. And maybe the value isn't even there. I just like him. But at no point do I ever go into a draft saying, if I do not emerge from this draft without that dude, it's a loser draft. It's just not how I think about it. I'm sure you don't either.
No, because that would be foolish, and I work here, and that's not what we do. We do other foolish stuff, but not that. So our first guy on the list, part of why it's must draft is I can't say sleeper. We're talking Diontae Johnson.
Right.
I could say guys who dropped a bunch of balls last year that Chris still seems to like.
Shut up. Yeah, of course. That's the reason to be suspicious. There's three really good receivers in Pittsburgh, and I'm just picking Diontae Johnson as my favorite. People who listen to the podcast know that I consider him to be a member of the phylum, the Antonio Brown phylum, which is not to say he's as good as Antonio Brown was in his days with Pittsburgh, but there's some similarities. He just gets open by breathing. He's straight line, very fast, quickness, ridiculously quick. If he hadn't had all those drops, he led the NFL in drops last year. I think it was 12. And I said in the Almanac, Dave, that doesn't even really begin to cover it. He led the league in drops is almost like underselling how bad it was, because there were times you could see the entire team deflate after a Diontae Johnson drop. Everybody just go, not again. Really? Seriously, dude? Again? And of course, that could 100% be a part of the problem. And frankly, I don't think he's coming at a discount in fantasy drafts. I don't. I think he's probably fairly priced as a top 20-ish, top 20 adjacent. I have him number 19, somewhere in that range. It's probably about right. And yet, it just strikes me, okay, I'm a hypocrite because I'll on the one hand be like, I'm scared of Jerry Jeudy. I'm scared because of his hands. Then I'm like, Diontae Johnson, give him to me, top 20. But I've seen Diontae Johnson do it. I've seen him be great. I've seen him get open. So I'm just kind of willing to say I'm going to hope it doesn't happen again. And if it doesn't, it seems like the sky's the limit.
And if it does, then you can make Nelson Aguilar jokes. I mean, it is what it is.
It's rough, man. There's some hands problems around there, and I think I'm gonna wind up taking the chance and having him a bunch.
You're also up for taking the chance, and it's not even a chance. I'm Brandon Aiyuk, this next guy on our list who, I don't think has the stigma around his play as much, but we talked about San Francisco with their running backs before. It's just so many pieces get interchanged at all the positions there. You're excited about Brandon Aiyuk because of the film you watched?
Yeah, well, I think actually you bring up a good point, which is it's easy to overstate how good the situation is in San Francisco for skill weapons. It's easy to overstate how much we think any single player is going to get used, because it just seems like a team of totally interchangeable pieces. And therefore I'm making the case that Brandon Aiyuk should be drafted significantly ahead of Deebo Samuel. And that might just be wind up being wrong because it's kind of not how they typically have run the offense. But yeah, you hinted at it. I felt like there were a couple of receivers, we'll get to another one in a second, that I didn't have a full appreciation of the kind of season that they'd had. I kind of remembered Aiyuk for the dude who do you remember early in the season he scored a touchdown by hurdling a guy? And it's just the most athletic play that's ever been made in the history of the NFL. One of those ridiculous plays. We think of him as the running back in the open field. We think he's the crusher in the open field, the Chris Godwin type player. But I say he's not Godwin, but I think he's a Godwin-esque type route runner. He has some polish that I probably wasn't initially on my initial watches, and probably talking about them on the podcast last year, didn't quite give him credit for. And maybe that ability to get open is what I'm kind of hanging my hat on to get him to be a low-level wide receiver too, which again, I think that's probably, we're not telling you it's a major sleeper. That's about where he's going to go. But I think I'm going to be willing to take him there specifically because maybe I'm just willing to ascribe him a little more safety because of the polish that he has, and I don't think anybody else in that receiving core does. All right, Dave, you know we're sponsored by Manscaped. I'm telling the folks about it. The world leaders in below-the-belt grooming. It's all very clever, and ha-ha, when we talk about precision tools for your family jewels, shaving your nether regions, all that. Truthfully, I'm one of the first person to use the Lawnmower 4.0. It's great. It's a body hair trimmer. It keeps you tidy everywhere. If there's a special someone in your life, maybe you don't want to be a hairy wildebeest for them, get a Lawnmower 4.0 from Manscaped. It's excellent. I use it. And really, using the same razor you use on your face, that's gross. Don't be a hairy wildebeest. You'll have this thing forever. It's well worth it. Plus, we can get you 20% off with free shipping when you go to manscaped.com and use the code HarrisTube. Use the right tools for the job. 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use that code HarrisTube.
Getting back to our must-draft wide receivers, the next guy on the list is Michael Pittman, and it's kind of a similar mold. You were just talking about Brandon Aiyuk saying when you rewatch the film, you have more appreciation than you did in season, and I know you've described Pittman like that as well. What maybe popped when watching Pittman?
Yeah, it's different. It's different from Aiyuk, but you're right. I feel those are the two guys that I kind of gain the more appreciation for among all receivers, I think, in the league that I can think of. I don't have like a catalog of surprise. Like that was a 7.5 surprise. That was a 7.25, so it wasn't as surprising. They were both pretty surprising to me. That I hadn't appreciated them as much in the moment as I was watching week by week. And in Pittman's case, it's not that he's the crusher in the open field. It's not that he's like a kind of a short area quickness, like get open with really precise technical routes. It's more that he's like, oh, this guy could be Kenny Golladay. Oh, this guy's like a monster when the ball's in the air. It didn't happen that often because Phillip Rivers was the quarterback. And I don't want to overstay. I don't think Phillip Rivers was terrible last year. They were a playoff team. Like, he was okay. But it was a certain kind of okay. And he wasn't going deep all that much. And, you know, there's extenuating circumstances to make Pittman's season seem a little kind of meh, a little blah. And I think he deserves to be considered in kind of the wide receiver 3 range. So again, I'm probably a little higher on him than the market, but I'm not considering it some like miscarriage of justice. But the fact that we could get a more aggressive quarterback to take advantage of that, I don't know, what's the right way to say it? It's like, it's not quite old man game. I think Keenan Allen has the old man game. We said that on the podcast, but it's like I'm slow and I'm covered deep. I'm open. Just throw it. You know, that's the Kenny Golladay thing because just they're killers when the ball's in the air and they're just really big. I mean, Michael Pittman's 6'4". And I also think there's a chance that there's a story building around the Colts that Carson Wentz is no good and hurt and not going to be ready and yada yada all these things and like the secret truth of it is he might actually play week 1 and this might have all been for nothing. And if that's all baked into all Colts weapons price and Pittman's price, it strikes me as kind of a good thing if you like the player.
Yeah, I'm excited about Pittman, and we're talking, I think it's double-digit rounds right now. Like we said, we're just getting into talking ADP, but he's down there at 8. It's not double digits. I exaggerated. Maybe it's around that range. No, not even.
Yeah. I don't think he's double-digit rounds. I think that's not right. But
the next guy is though. The next guy on the list is.
Oh yeah.
He's maybe not even in the rounds. He doesn't have an almanac profile yet. We're talking Marquez Callaway.
That's our standard around here. Like, does he have an almanac profile? No? Oh my God. Are we talking about that guy?
I drafted a guy without a profile. What have I done?
Well, he might be getting one for the second update at the end of August. So everybody understands Michael Thomas isn't playing for a while, potentially 2 months into the season. And everybody knows who Traquan Smith was because he was the more heralded prospect, a higher draft pick. Marquez Callaway, not that at all. But Traquan Smith, as of our recording this, I'm not sure he's done anything in training camp. It seems like he's been hurt all the way through camp. And in the meantime, Marquez Callaway, I'm not trying to get all excited about a beat reporter saying, Marquez Callaway is playing so great. It's more just he's playing, he's there, he's involved. And if there's no one else at his level on the depth chart who's playing, cool, good. He's establishing something with the mishmash motley quarterbacks they have there. So here's what I did for you, Dave, because you're right. I did not write a Marquez Callaway profile yet for the almanac. So therefore, I did not watch any Marquez Callaway film over the course of the summer. So what I did for you,
thank you,
was I watched his oeuvre from last season, and it didn't take that long because it wasn't that long. But there were times during the Michael Thomas absence, a couple the first Carolina game in particular, where Marquez Callaway kind of became the primary receiving weapon. And I can just tell you what I saw, how they used him in a very limited role in a very short amount of time. And it doesn't mean he can't do other things. But what I saw was all possession, all essentially Michael Thomas routes, all, 7 yards down the field turnaround, 7 yards running in, flat little thing and then up. From what I saw, nothing down the field, absolutely nothing down the field. And this was with Drew Brees throwing. So as I said with Rivers, maybe there were some concerns about Brees being able to go down the field at the end there. But so I think if we're interested at all about Marquez Callaway, and my God, calling him a must draft, clearly that was a stretch. But if we're interested at all, I think it's as the receiver shaped hole in the lineup. I can't find special qualities yet from what I've seen. Now, people who are at Sade's camp may be seeing amazing 35-yard routes where nobody can stay with him. He's a 6'2", 200-pound guy. He's not fast. He's not that guy, I don't think. But I'm nominating him for this list strictly because I want everybody to just put a pin in it and take a look at what things look like in a couple of weeks when you're doing your draft. Because if Traquan Smith's still out, if there's nobody else stepping up, Marquez Callaway's going to wind up he's going to be in the almanac if that's the case. He's going to wind up being late round draftable, again, as one of those dart throws.
A dart throw, a chase volume at wide receiver, if we will.
Yeah, I think it will be a little bit of that, but it's harder to be open as a receiver than it is to stand there and get the ball placed in your belly. So there's some level of skill just even in being able to do the Michael Thomas thing right. So I'll give him some credit. He seemed like he did that pretty well last year in the limited opportunity.
And you did pretty well right here on this video. Thank you for joining me, Chris. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment. And, if you think we're crazy on Callaway, leave a comment. It's fine. It's fine. Bye, everyone.
Thanks so much for watching. Please, please, please smash that like button. Write a comment. Tell us who else you'd like to see us review film on. And of course, best of all, please subscribe to our channel and then click that little bell above the subscribe button and you'll be notified whenever we post a new video.